Welcome to Unashamed Unafraid, a show unashamed about sexual addiction recovery and unafraid of coming unto Christ for healing.
Where we talk about real recovery stories, answer anonymous questions with experts, and share resources that actually work.
I'm your host, Steve.
And I'm your co-host, Chris, and we are Unashamed Unafraid.
Chris, my brother.
Yes, sir.
What's happening?
Just chilling, recording a podcast.
Oh, you know? What I know is Chris right now is actually getting ready for the boot camp, which will have happened by the time this episode is published. But way to grind, bro. Way to grind.
Yep.
Getting it done. If you need a scholarship to go to boot camp or to the women's retreat, turns out we have a couple of those. So you should go to unashamedunafraid.com/scholarships and apply for those. So, I mean, we have episodes where like it gets gritty, it gets real. This is legit.
Right. She's awesome.
So we'll let her...
And I said, she's awesome. Because we have our second woman addict that was able to share with us today.
Yeah, and so I'll share this part that didn't get recorded, but we had an interesting experience in our recording. So Ashlee's talking about her story, and then just God grabbed me and was like, invite her to share this the way she wants to. So we stop halfway in. I'm like, Ashlee, are you sharing this the way like you're supposed to? Like the way the script should look? Are you sharing what you want to share on your heart? And like we had this real conversation. We had this real dialogue about it. And I'm going to be honest. I was like, look, if you don't want to go total from your heart, like it's cool. Like we're cool. It's good. But like, I want to sign you up for anything you don't want to sign up for, but I'm not trying to be this guy, but we'll mess around. Like we're going to ask you this stuff. And, talk about answering the call, man. I mean, it wasn't like...
It changed from that moment.
I mean, it's not even... like in my mind, I was like, does she need to think about this? And she was like, nope. Like
she knew she was ready.
Like she knew, right? And so there was just a realness that came into this episode. And I just want to speak to you because, you know, we experienced this with Cassie too. Like there's this double shame. Like addiction, shame enough, no one wants you. And then to be a female, because females don't struggle with this. That's not a thing. If you don't sense the sarcasm,
yeah,
please pick it up now. But, and so the way she stepped in, oh, holy cow.
Just opened her heart to us and to you guys, obviously. So we're super grateful that she was able to do that. And willing to.
Yeah. And, I just loved, you know, oftentimes I feel like what gets shared in a lot of our, which is not a bad thing, is kind of lessons learned. Like, hey, this is what I've learned. I've realized this. And there was something just really tender and just real about a lot of, you know, I'm kind of figuring that one out. This is what I've got so far. This is where I'm at in this, and this is what I'm figuring out. And it reminds me a lot of our episode we did with Max, who's also, because Ashlee's young.
Right.
I mean, Chris is old. I'm in the middle.
No, James is old.
Okay. No.
Sorry, James is old.
James is super old. James is rest home, the walker with the tennis balls on the bottom, right? That's James.
Yep.
Chris is just like deaf old man on the porch.
True story, I'm deaf.
I'm still young and cool, but only in my own mind. But, right, so she's turning 20 like this year.
Right.
I mean, and so much wisdom at a young, I'm like, let me tell you where I was at that age. Fried freaking toasts. Like full tilt, dual life off the cliff. And so,
yeah, absolutely. Still hiding like crazy. I mean, I got married at 19 and there was no way I was talking about this to anybody, especially my wife.
Yeah. Especially on a podcast to the whole world.
Yeah.
And so there's this, it's this crazy thing. And so I hope you take a chance to listen to the whole episode if you're listening now. And I know this is a long intro. We need to shut up, but, so much wisdom, and then so much honesty of, I'm just figuring this out. I'm just learning. I'm just starting. I'm just moving. And seeing those two like mixed in the same blender, there was grace is the only word that I have. So much grace and just beauty around the authenticity. I mean, that Ashlee brought. It was crazy.
Yeah. Especially if you guys listen to the bonus content. She gets even deeper. She even said, I didn't think that we would go there. And well, that's why we're here. we get deep with people and bring out some of the things that they don't want to talk about or they're scared to talk about. And she absolutely opened up to us in that bonus session. So I definitely welcome you guys to listen to the bonus session as well.
But Chris, how do I get the bonus content?
You go to unashamed-unafraid.com/bonus. No,
/donate.
And I always screw that up. /donate and donate so that you can actually become one of our outsiders. So speaking of outsiders, we've got some new outsiders that I want to shout out to. So we have Mark.
What's up?
Monty. Woohoo. Ben, what's up, man? David.
What's up, David? I see you. David, I got your email. We exchanged. Don't be a stranger. Reach out to me, bro. I see you.
And we got some women that donated as well. So new outsider women. Lynette.
Sweet.
Freaking awesome. And I think her name is Dope Ashlee or Awesome Ashlee. We could do whatever. We could add all sorts of things to it.
And that may or may not be an Ashlee. We cannot confirm or deny that it may or may not be an Ashlee that you might be listening to in this recording. And so where those donations go, so we are a nonprofit, 501c3. So no one gets paid. I don't pay. We sure as much don't pay Jason for all the heavy lifting he does with this audio, but we should. And
you kind of get paid for donating because you get tax deductions.
Correct. And what you are donating to is scholarships for people, right, who are looking for recovery resources. So go to our website, unashamed-unafraid.com/scholarships. And if you're enjoying this content, we invite you to give us 5 stars on iTunes. That's how the world judges us, and algorithms help the world find us. And so also, Ashlee shared with us, she is open to people reaching out to her directly. And so to reach out to her, Instagram is the best way. Send her a DM. She will check it. And it is at Ashlee Ayres. So that is ASHLEEAYRE. So reach out to Ashlee. Sorry our intros are so long. Just so excited. And so thank you for joining us. This is truly incredible. You're about to hear a beautiful heart, a beautiful person, a strong woman, be really vulnerable and share. And so with that,
and I hope you guys can see the light that we can see, even though you're just listening.
If you miss it, you're blind.
Right.
And with that, we'll take you in. So we'll get in the studio with Ashlee. Chris.
Yes, sir.
Ashlee.
Hello.
We're lucky she's here, Chris.
Absolutely. We've been waiting a long time to get her on here.
So, first tell everyone, because we didn't say it in the intro, because I wasn't going to tell your story for you. How did you end up here with us?
So I found out about this podcast about, 8 months ago or something. And I just reached out to you guys because I've been sharing my story and just really excited because I want to be the voice for someone else because I didn't get that. And that's all I really wanted. When I was struggling with my addiction, I wanted to hear a girl's story with this problem. And so I reached out to you guys. It took me a few months. I wasn't ready in January, but now I'm here and I'm super excited.
Woohoo! We're excited to have you.
As are we. So where do you want to start?
I guess let's just start at the beginning.
Agreed.
So, I guess I had a really great childhood. There wasn't a lot of trauma, so it's kind of different from a lot of families.
And you come from a relatively big family, right?
Yeah. So I'm the third of 8 kids. And, we were raised on a farm. We were raised being homeschooled. We just had a lot of fun and not a lot of technology. So it was kind of different from a lot of families. We were also very religious. And so that did play a big part in my journey. When I was 11 years old, I ran into this book. It was a book about pornography. And, it was a really good book. But it put the idea of porn into my head. I had no idea what this was. It was just telling a story about this kid who found it and then was able to, get help from his family and, move on past it. But the idea and the concept of it really stuck with me. We had the sex talk with my parents, but it was like a one and done thing. So that was, that was a big thing for an 11-year-old. And then all of that combined, it was just a lot because we moved into this really small house. We jumped right into school for our first time ever.
And because you were previously homeschooled.
Yes.
So it's like double culture shock.
Yeah. So an hour away from home. We were all kind of just in survival mode. My parents were super busy. My mom's a Relief Society president. So we were all kind of pulled away doing our own thing. I don't want to say that my parents neglected me at all or any of our family, but we were all super busy. And growing up, I had this label on me that I was the perfect child. So I carried that label with me all growing up.
Got that label from mom and dad? Mm-hmm. Because I also had some hero child. My mom would say to me, oh, we're so happy you're the one who doesn't have any problems.
Yeah.
So is that,
yeah,
we're barking on, okay.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
I can relate to you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I kind of felt more special. I don't know if that's weird to say, but, always helping out with Christmas or just the responsible one. I could watch my siblings when my parents went on a date or whatever. And so I just always had that label with me. Everyone else saw me as perfect too. So I felt like I couldn't really mess up. So,
I was gonna say that's a lot of pressure for you, right? Did you feel that pressure that you were like, oh, I just can't mess up at all. I gotta be good. I gotta be the good one.
Yeah.
So one curiosity question I have is so coming out of the sex talk, you have this interaction of a curiosity with porn, which I would label as normal, a common experience, we are all sexual beings. But then you have the sex talk and you said standard deal, one and done. So you're moving past that, boom, I kind of know there's this thing called porn, bam, I have the, quote unquote classic sex talk. So in your mind, what was sex and more curious for me is what was your sexuality about? Because I know for me as a man growing up, it was sex is wrong. Very religious, right? Grew up, Latter-day Saint activist. It was all the sex things are wrong. Till you get married, then there's this green light. But then there was this undertone in culture that if you get pretty women and all of this 007 thing, then you're the man. So there's also this sexuality as a tool that you use. And it's a validating thing, but don't touch it till later. But that's the deal. That was my sexual education. So for you, what was the messages you had? If I could interview you at 12, 14 and be what is sex and what is your sexuality? What was that for you?
That's a good question. I definitely felt probably the same way. I didn't really know much about it though. It got introduced to me once and no one else really talked about it, ever. So, and I didn't really have any trouble with boys. So or girls that struggled with this. So I really did not know much about it. I did believe that, yes, when I get married, then I can. But yeah, basically what you said, that's pretty much how I felt.
So so your personal sexuality it was a good thing, it was a bad thing, it was an unknown thing.
Pretty much unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you move, school, the move, you're
Yep.
kind of feeling on your own.
Yeah. So when I jumped into school, I was around all of my new friends and I really wanted a phone. So I was 12 years old and I just asked my dad, hey, can I get a phone? And because I am that perfect kid, I guess, it was pretty much a no-brainer. And he gave it to me. And I got it at the same time as my older brother. So we were all kind of the guinea pigs with this new technology, the smartphone.
And sorry, for everyone who paying into context, so how at 12, what year is this?
2013.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get this phone and of course my parents they're not dumb, so they put filters on it. That's what every parent feels is the right thing to do. And yes, it helped, but it just slowed us down. Like, I got super invested in spending my time with gaming and social media. And then I found pornography on social media. And I was never the kid that would go on the internet or Pornhub to look up pornography. I was too smart and I knew that my parents would find out. So it was all through social media, because when they look at that, they just see, oh yeah, you have Instagram. That's just to look at your friend's post.
Well, and parents, if you're listening, you actually cannot filter social media. So if you think that web browser filter you put on that phone is filtering Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat, it's not filtering anything.
Yeah.
There's no way to close that door. I cannot close that door.
Yep.
Best case scenario, now they're doing the screenshot thing where it can scan the screen. I know Covenant Eyes, Ever Accountable.
Every once in a while, it'll just take a snapshot.
Yeah,
of
it just
whatever.
takes they
Just
kind
random
of have some
snapshots.
algorithms figuring out if there's a bunch of nudity on the screen or whatever, it'll try and snapshot. But anyway, sorry, just because that's a big thing that you stepped on.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's this gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I noticed that I was starting to be pulled away from the things that I really love to do, which was scary for, I don't know, mostly me, but also my family. Like I was really big with like going to rest homes and playing and, being in plays and doing school, like really, really successful. And I was just kind of just slowing down. And so that was a worry right there.
Sorry, and the off script is, because we talked about this before we started recording, that you were actually quite the piano player.
Yeah, I've been playing for 13 years. So
And no big deal, 13 years, whatever, just shrug.
And did your parents notice that you were withdrawing a little bit?
yeah. I had my phone with me all the time and I was super hesitant to let them, even touch it or if they wanted to check it. I was so scared.
Scared. What are they going to find? That's what you're thinking, right? You're just like, what are they going to find?
Exactly.
I hope I hid everything the way I needed to.
Yeah. So, and a big mistake that a lot of parents make is they let their kids have their phones in the bedroom when they're sleeping. And that was a really dangerous time for me when at nighttime when everyone's asleep,
Yeah.
you just are on there for hours. You're going on YouTube, Snapchat, anywhere.
Right.
So, yeah, that cycle just kept going for about 6 years. So I have been struggling with this for, I was probably 14 years old when I realized that this was a big issue. When I noticed that this cycle just wasn't healthy. At first it was like, oh yeah, I like this. I don't know what this is, but it feels good. And I figured out masturbation. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought I made that up, And so when I was about 14 years old, I remember, going to church and seminary and, the leaders, I don't know why they teach it like this, but like in Cassie's episode, it was about the same situation where the leaders were like, yeah, I know, girls, we have to teach this. I know you guys don't struggle with this. And, and my seminary teacher, he's awesome. But on this topic, it really hurt me. He was talking about how bad pornography is. And if you know a guy that's struggling with it, don't get in a relationship with him. And just putting so much shame into it. And so I was just like, oh my goodness, this is bad. This is really bad. I can't tell anyone. You know, if they're freaking out about this, my leaders, people that I trust, I can't tell my parents, you know, like I need to hide this.
Especially because your leaders are like, oh, as girls, I'm sure we don't have this. And you're like, yeah, I am struggling with this, but
yeah.
Yeah. And shame just sits in.
And if you are not sure what shame is, I invite you to go back 30 seconds and re-listen to that. Because the way you said that is just so beautiful. Like, man, if I can't tell these leaders who love me, if that's not safe, ooh, for sure mom and dad aren't safe. And then if they're not safe, who is?
Right. Yeah.
Ooh, that's big.
Another thing was I just wasn't honest with myself. I was living a second life, and it was scary. When I have been preparing for these podcasts, I like to look back in my journals because I've been writing my journal every day for years. And so I was just curious. I'm like, did I ever write about this? You know, why was I ever honest with myself? Because I know that I went through this, but I wrote nothing. I was not honest with myself. And I remember I didn't really turn to God either. This was just something I was hiding. And, you know, I knew that I eventually wanted to get out of it, but I didn't even know where to start.
Yeah.
You know?
When were you like, oh, this is a thing? Because I mean, I for a long time was like, I just quit every time after I stop. And I know that sounds stupid now. Like, well, obviously you knew you had a problem. I'm like, like I was not like doing prostitution and I'm being like, this is a cycle. Like I have a pattern. Like this is an addiction or a problem. Like I think there's that gap when you realize like, oh, this is bigger than like a moment or a mistake. So when did that settle on you? Like, oh, this is a thing.
When it wasn't to look at it for fun, when it was like I needed to turn to that to numb out, when I really needed to finish looking at this, when I went to school, I would come home on and off like every other semester because I just wasn't doing well in my classes. And when I was homeschooled, when I was struggling with this addiction, I wasn't even doing school. You know, my mom would walk past, I would pretend like I'm doing school. And then when she would leave, I would go right back to looking at pornography. Like it happened all the time. And so that's when I realized like, oh my goodness, I am really addicted and I don't know how to stop, you know?
So what age were you when you'd say you were at the height of your use?
So I was talking with my cousin one day and we were really close friends. And I knew that she had her own struggles. I don't want to go into her story.
Sure.
But she opened up and I hadn't really talked with anyone. Like I haven't really heard people struggling with things. So it just felt really good to hear that someone was struggling with a sexual issue. And that gave me permission to open up. And I just blurted it out. And, you know, we started talking. I told her about my addiction. And, you know, that was the first time I ever told anyone. I didn't plan to tell anyone. Like, I was planning to take it to my grave. And so it was really empowering because I was really ready to open up and get it done with. I just didn't know how, and I didn't want that label, the perfection label, ripped away from me. And so me and her decided that we would go talk to the bishop the following week. You know, not together, obviously. But the next week rolls around and... So
you're like, we're both going to go talk to our bishops independently. Do you have the same bishop at the time?
Yes. She lived in my ward. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I had always been so scared of talking to the bishop because, you know, that is super intimidating. Yeah. And
P.S. Bishop is like pastor.
Yes.
In the LDS community. Yeah.
And, you know, I always felt so bad because, you know, I would go into the Temple Recommend interview and, you know, they would ask all the questions and, you know, obviously I would lie for years and years, you know, do you keep the law of chastity? And I just always felt the shame in the office too, you know, just, So this was really scary to me. And I go in there, I get it all off my chest, and I have never felt so free in my life. After that, I was like on the spiritual high, and I was so, I don't know, just feeling so empowered because I finally told someone about my addiction that I had been drowning in for years. And, I pretty much changed my life, and I, cleaned up my social media apps, and I started going to the temple a lot and serving, and I just pretty much became a different person. It was awesome.
Wait, so what you're telling me is that you can't live the exact same lifestyle and just stop?
You have to do actual lifestyle changes?
Yeah.
What you can't see, she's looking at me like, is this dude that dumb, or was that sarcastic? I'm not sure.
Yep. So,
and then when you say clean up social media apps, did you like remove them completely?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. I took a break from a ton of social media apps and pretty much just detoxed from my phone in general because I knew that was such a big trigger.
Yeah.
And I cleaned up like my music and anything or books too. I would, there's so much pornography in books. So just all these little ways, I just try to get rid of that, try to get rid of any trigger I could. I guess it's super weird because I did really stop cold turkey, which I know, like looking back, it's like, yeah, okay. I was sober for like 6 months or something, and I felt like I was healed. I was so excited.
I remember I was at the Toby Mac concert in 2016 and I was like, I've arrived. I'm good to go. And in fairness, there is a point in time that you actually do just stop.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Like because I just want to be like, you're not crazy. Like sounds like you did it. You were doing some real recovery and seeing a difference.
Yeah. So this was all happening on my own though. So, those were the two people that knew, my bishop and my cousin. And, so I was doing awesome until, when was it? July 2018, I had a big double jaw surgery and I wasn't able to eat for a month. And so, that caused an eating disorder because, I wasn't able to eat. So I started binging. And there was all this little stuff behind the surface. There were so many root problems. I guess I'll name them real fast. Like my body image, especially from viewing all the pornography. Like I had this image of a perfect person, the perfect life and everything. So I was super...
Well, and let's be more specific, the perfect woman, the perfect female.
Uh-huh. Yeah. The perfect face and everything. Perfect body. So that was a huge issue. And so that led into, that led into the eating disorder as well. I was so concerned about my weight and everything. Anyways, I start binging like crazy and that goes on for about 9 months and I gain so much weight. And to cope with that, the emotional trauma from that, I went back to masturbation and, it was just so extreme. It was like, I binged so hard. And so now to feel better, I need to turn to this. And that just went back and forth. And by that time, my mom knew about my eating disorder. So it felt good to be able to talk with her. And so she knows that, bro, like my child is going crazy. She's, so she knew that that's what I was struggling with. And that really helped, having her support. Anyways, I finally get freed from the eating disorder in June of 2019. So 9 months later, and I just couldn't get rid of the masturbation. And I remember like talking to my mom and just being like, I don't understand. Why do I keep hopping from addictions? Like she didn't know about my sexual addictions, but like, I would talk about like my phone addiction, social media, my eating disorder. And I was just wondering like...
But she didn't know about the masturbation. You didn't go there. Yeah.
No. But I was just so concerned. I was like, well, I got rid of my eating disorder. Like, but how come I feel so drawn to my phone? And I was trying to be careful not to, expose
Not
myself.
give her too much information.
Right. So that was a big concern. I just didn't know like how to heal my root problems. That was a problem for a long time. And I guess that leads me up to 2020. Let's see. It was probably around June. I saw that Colin Karchner was recording this podcast episode with this 16-year-old boy about pornography. And so I was super excited because up to this point, I was like looking everywhere, trying to find stories, because deep down I was still struggling with this. No one knew. Which is super weird because I thought I healed it when I talked to the bishop, so I was really concerned and I was looking everywhere. I was looking on podcasts, trying to find a girl that struggled with this, and so
turns out it's pretty tough to find.
Oh, it's so hard.
We've been doing this since 2016 and we just barely had our first woman on here. First woman addict, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like even to this day, I can name 3 other ladies, female addicts that I've heard from.
Yeah.
And I wish that I heard that. That would have helped me so much if I knew that, there was another girl that was struggling with this.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to Colin and I was like, hey, this is so cool that you're having a teenager come and talk about this. Because obviously I know that boys are struggling with porn. Like that's a guy problem, right? And I was like, have you ever thought...
Air quotes.
Right, air quotes. And I said, like, have you ever thought about having a girl on? Because I have a story. I struggled with pornography. I think that would be really important because I wish that I listened to a girl that struggled with that too. So basically, I shared my story and he had me on. And so ever since then, when I recorded with him... he's been bringing me along to like UCAP, Utah Coalition Against Pornography.
Yep.
And I was on a lot of other podcasts and firesides. And
you were on the circuit.
Yeah. It felt really cool, you know, and so many people were reaching out to me, like so many girls. And they're like, even my close friends too, they're like, I struggled with that, and I was like, wait, you? And it was just so cool that people were starting to open up. Because, I made the first move and so many people were feeling okay.
You made it safe for other people to reach out. You're providing hope for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So I was going on podcasts and stuff, but still I was struggling with masturbation. And it just felt I really felt like a hypocrite because I wasn't able to, I would go like 2 months at a time being sober, but it just felt like white knuckling. I would be like, barely making it, and then I would go on a podcast and be like, hey, these are some things that helped me, be sober, get over this. And so it just felt really weird, but I knew that the Spirit was leading me to do this still. So I was really confused. Anyways, I reached out to Unashamed Unafraid. And
woo-hoo. I hear those guys are awesome.
I know. So I was going to come speak in January, but I was just feeling so sick about it because I wasn't able to find, I wasn't in a good place.
Tell us what you mean by not in a good place.
I think I literally relapsed like the week before I was supposed to record. Right. And I was like, I don't want to go on and do another fake one, because I was listening to your episodes and I know that you get like really deep. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready. And another crazy thing is that when I was working on being sober, it was all on my own. There was nothing to do with God. I didn't know how to even apply him into my healing journey. So like, it just felt so weird. And, I had a really hard relapse with masturbation and a little bit of pornography. Like that was coming up a little bit. And I think especially because I was opening up. So the adversary was just attacking me super hard.
For sure.
Yeah. So in February, I found life-changing services and from my friend Smith Alley, he was on Colin's podcast. That's the person I saw.
Yeah.
And he told me about this program, Sons of Helaman, and then I found out they had a Daughters of Light, and I just jumped into that program, and I'm still there, and it actually feels like real healing. You know, I'm like a little over 2 months sober, but I actually call this healing now because it's not white knuckling anymore. And I know that, and people know that too. Like my family, they notice that I am like a different person, you know?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where I'm at now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So tell us, so Daughters of Light so you're doing group, it's individual, like, because I know people listening are be like, well, what is it?
Is it book studies? Is it therapy? Is it what? Tell us a little bit about it.
So it's group therapy. We meet once a week, and it's just a bunch of girls, women, and we meet together. We don't really talk about our issues. I'm sure a lot of them do struggle with pornography and masturbation, but we don't really want to name that because it's pretty open for like any issue.
Yeah.
So
sure.
We meet with an amazing therapist, and we talk about like our points for the week, which include like our goals. Like, you know, did we relapse or did we do all of our goals, like reading our scriptures, you know, journaling, that kind of stuff. And then we do a thought process. I can't remember what it's called, but we think back on the week, and we figure out like something that was really hard and this is like retraining our brain.
Yeah.
You know, like we think about an issue that happened that week, and then where our thoughts led, and then where Satan attacked us, you know, so we could see like, you know, like next time this happens,
right,
I know I have these alarms set up so that I can retrain my brain. I'm going to go do this other thing. So we work on that. We're trying to retrain our thoughts so that we're able to catch ourselves before we relapse or, you know, do anything against our values.
Yeah.
Being a lot more aware of your feelings so that you're not coping with pornography, masturbation,
exactly,
whatever.
Yeah. So is it, I mean, this is probably a selfish question as someone who like does group therapy, and participates and runs. Is it like, what's making the difference for you? Is it like working like the curriculum, like working that, or is it like the support with because I see both values, like both are valuable and I think both are important. And so just like, if we break those into two camps, like talk about both of those, like actually like working some type of program and like, besides just, hey, try harder and don't do it. And then also what's it like having some support?
Yeah. Okay. I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I was trying to figure out, why is this different from when I was trying to do it on my own? What's the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference between sobriety and healing? And I realized that support is so important. You know, just having those women there, like that is so incredibly important. And
you're not alone anymore. Yes,
exactly. And another huge thing with the group, it is religious. And I think that is super important, you know, because I had all these root issues. I had all these root problems.
So that's a loaded word. Tell us what you mean by religious, because I don't want anyone to misunderstand you.
Okay.
No, and like, I don't have a judgment. I'm just saying people use that word in some very different contexts. Mm-hmm. So I don't want someone to think you meant apples when you meant oranges.
Right.
So like, there's no right answer. I'm just saying, so to you, when you say religious, meaning like that you're bringing God into the process, or that it's aligned with your faith and your faith values. Mm-hmm. So, cause and I'll give you an example. This comes up all the time when people do 12 steps. We've talked on here about the ARP, which is the LDS Church's version of the 12 steps. Mm-hmm. And some people enjoy that because they're like, it's people of my faith and it feels unifying. And then other people are like, I like doing regular SA because God is in it. But then the stuff I have messed up around the shame in my church culture isn't present, but I'm still doing God. So that's what I'm saying. People like just use that term a lot of different ways. So, cause I think you're stepping on like something real big. And so I want people to hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So the program, it does involve God. Mm-hmm. And I did want to say that, it is like based on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, totally.
But, I actually know that there's a lot of people there that aren't members of that church.
Sure.
So it isn't, only specific to our church.
Totally.
But yes, it does involve God.
Yeah. So then I think the obvious question is like, why has God been so important to you in recovery? Because as you know, we're unashamed, right, to talk about this topic, and we're unafraid to come into Christ. So God being key to recovery, you don't need to convince anyone in this room of that, but that's a hard thing, I think, people to figure out, because a lot of times, church hurt's the worst hurt. People have a lot of damage around God. And so like, how has that shifted for you? Like, why has that been such a big part for you?
Well, I've obviously come closer to God in general. I've been learning about him more, and it's played like the biggest role in my recovery. I really didn't really have much knowledge about him, and I didn't really know myself like as a daughter of God. I didn't really understand my worth, and so I didn't ever feel like I was worth saving. And so coming to know God and know that I have a purpose here on earth, that has made such a big difference. And he has helped me heal a lot of my root problems. All these messages that I've been telling myself or that I've heard for so long, God has helped me break through those lies. And that has made a huge difference in my recovery journey.
Knowing that he loves you for who you are, regardless of what you've been doing in your past and everything that you've been going through.
Yeah.
He still absolutely loves you and loves your heart. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just a big one. So I'm just like, just want to sit in that for a minute. So, what do you, for you, right, I guess is the way to say that. What was the biggest thing that, because you've had this renewal or this restoration in your relationship with God. And so my mind is like, this is someone who did all the right things. Like, I know on that side of your dual life, like I know the porn was going on and the addiction, I get that. But like, you always went to church. You talked about going to seminary. Like, I'm assuming you still read and prayed at least sometimes, and why there's the head nod like, oh yeah, but so I guess what's the shift for people? Because there's such a barrier around really feeling God, and I get it, because people are like, I do all the God things and I don't feel anything. I'm checking all the God boxes.
Shit for people or shit for you?
Right. So I guess I'm just saying, speak to both. Like, what has the shift been for you?
Well, it's definitely, I'm recovering for myself. It's not because my mom wants me to get over this. It's because I genuinely want to move on and help people with my story. And, I've come to really, really love God. So I do these things. It used to be literally a checklist, go through the scriptures and stuff, go through all the motions. But now it's so different. Now I really want to get to know him more, and I'm just striving to become a better person every day.
So if there were other girls listening to this right now, which I'm sure there's many women that listen to this, what would you say to them? If they were here with you right now, what would you say to them? What would you want them to know?
First off, that they're not alone. That is so important. And I feel like that really breaks the shame, just knowing that you aren't the only one that is struggling with it. That's ridiculous. Like, you live in 2021. Of course, it's everywhere. And also that you are so loved, and that God is waiting for you. He's right there. He's always been there. And there's hope and healing literally around the corner. All you have to do is, speak up, go tell someone, get the help that you need, because you are worth it and you deserve to live a better life. You don't need to be stuck in that cycle anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you know, there's the song. So if you had a song for like this moment in time in your journey with God, journey in recovery, journey in life, to kind of speak to your experience in God as you know him now, what would that song be?
This was super hard to choose, but I really feel like it's How Can It Be by Lauren Daigle.
Mm-hmm.
We love her. She's awesome.
So why that song?
I love the lyrics. It's so beautiful, and it just doesn't make sense how God loves us so much, and that, he sent his son to perform the atonement for us. We're just sinners, and it just is amazing hearing this song, and it really shows God's love and his love for all of us. And it doesn't make sense, but it's beautiful. So yeah.
Absolutely. And if you can't hear from me that God loves you, hear it from Chris, the Hulk of Hope. And if you can't believe us, we invite you to believe Ashlee. Ashlee, thank you so much for coming on and being with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
If you want to reach out and know where to find us at Unashamed Unafraid, we invite you to become an outsider by donating at unashamedunafraid.com/donate, in which that helps us pay for scholarships for people to get resources so they can get help in their recovery. And that would also clue you into the bonus content of some extra time we spend here with Ashlee, going deeper, figuring some of the stuff she wants to share. So we appreciate, again, so much, Ashlee, for you coming on and sharing your heart. It's been powerful, and I've been touched.
Thank you.
Me too. So grateful that you were able to make it out here today, and your courage to share your story.
Thank you.
And I agree with you. Sometimes there's just not words to say how great his love is for us. But How Can It Be by Lauren Daigle takes a pretty good stab. So we'll leave you with that. And until we speak, see, or hear from you again, remain unashamed.
I am guilty, ashamed of what I've done, what I've become. These hands are dirty. I dare not lift them up to the Holy One. You plead my cause, you right my wrongs, you break my chains, you overcome, you gave your life to give me mine. You say that I am free. How can it be? How can it be? I've been hiding, afraid I've let you down. Inside I doubt that you still love